Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Today we're going to take a look at another knife by Riyadh, but this one, you know what, I'm just going to cut to the chase right off the bat here. I don't usually do this, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing it right now. You don't even have to sit through the whole video. You absolutely want this knife. You absolutely need this knife. It's $325, which is about $100 less than it should be or would be expected to be made by Riyadh, made in this way. I'm going to tell you right now, I choose usually one knife a year that I say this is the knife. This is my knife of the year. Now I have something I just bought that's on the way that may also contend for that. So what I'm going to say on this is, I'm going to call this my flipper of the year. This is the VBR, the Varga by Reate. The only way you can get it is through Varga Knives, and I'm going to give you the link to how you can get a hold of him down below in the description. You can basically just go to Instagram, search Varga Knives, V-A-R-G-A, send him a message. It's 325 bucks, and boom, yeah, you're all set. I wanted to get that out of the way first because I don't often get overly excited about a knife, especially a knife that you're looking at going, Jim, I don't get it. You're calling this what may be your flipper of the year. There's no zirconium or mokutai or damas steel or anything crazy. It's just an M390 flipper with carbon fiber and bead blasted titanium. Yeah, it is. And a lot of times when I pick what is my favorite overall out of everything for an entire year, I'm not generally going to pick something A, that is so rare you're never going to find it, and B, is so expensive that 95% of the people watching will never be able to justify the expense or maybe not be able to afford. I have plenty of those videos of those knives that I've owned and have owned now and have owned that I've loved, but I've never said, you need to go out and buy this $3,000 flipper. It's just not a thing that I believe most people can do. When I get my hands on more reasonably priced knives, which I generally, honestly, I don't really care about reasonably priced knives. It's not really my thing. You guys know that. But every now and then, there's one that'll sneak through and surprise me. And for this year, 2021, so far, this is that knife. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not just the materials, which are fantastic. M390 steel blade, we know that's a damn fantastic steel. Titanium bolster lock, yes, bolster lock. Not a frame lock, not a liner lock. How often do we see bolster locks these days? Not as often as I'd like. Bolster lock basically means you have a frame lock that has a scale over the lock side so that it matches your presentation side. That's it. Otherwise, if it were a liner lock, this would be one solid material, then it would have the scale and everything else, but you wouldn't have this lock bar cut out like you do on a frame lock. That would be a solid and flat, and then the lock would be only inside as the liner. So this is a true bolster lock. I love bolster locks. You've got the beefy strength of the lock bar, and yet you're not losing out on the beauty of the design of the knife. As you know, most frame locks, they're just plain. They don't generally do a lot of stuff on the lock side. All the happening shit is on this side. Well, this one's happening on both sides, so I like that. But yeah, it's just a plain titanium and carbon fiber bolster lock. Nothing particularly crazy, but let's get into the details because that's where I fell in love with this knife. Number one, I really like the grind. Nice, deep, hollow grind to a flat ground tip, flat ground swedge. Really nicely done. It adds a little bit of drama and effect. It's not just a plain ground blade. It looks really good. Looks more like a high-end custom. But the main thing for me is when I put it in my hands. Now there was a shot, there was a photo that I did, if you saw in the very beginning of the video, where I had the knife like this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring that shot in right now, as long as I remember to when I'm editing. We'll see. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm referencing. The smoothness. How everything has been rounded out. Now, there's a couple different ways of doing this. A lot of people will leave a little bit of a harsh edge and then just very lightly soften it. Nothing wrong with that. Other people will overly round stuff, and then what you've got is an almost shapeless knife. It just, everything blends into everything else, and it doesn't have a nice, true, defined shape. This still remains beautifully sculpted. It retains its shape, it retains its lines, but it is so soft. It is so well-rounded and ergonomic in my hand. I am absolutely, completely in love with it. I'm so in love with it that I'm literally throwing this video together. I didn't even take time to trim my damn fingernails or anything. It's just, I had to let people see this. Now that I've gotten past the sensationalism and my hand off camera rubbing my left nipple in excitement, let's talk about the specifications, okay? So here's the card that'll come with your purchase. As it says here, it is made for Varga Knives. VBR stands for Varga by Riyadh. Blade material is M390 with a 3.52 inch, 3.5 inch blade. And this is the one in the satin finish. There will be a few different finishes available. The bearings are ceramic, the detent is ceramic, and it's a flattened ceramic detent. Think of David Mosier, think of Pohan Lu, think of those rocket firing detents. That's what's been done here. And then he's also added the date in here, written by hand. And if you happen to have ordered yours and asked for some custom work, like maybe you went, hey, I'd like a purple bolster, please. I'd like a green backspacer, please. I'd like maybe a Mokutai pocket clip, please. He's able to do that stuff because, well, he is the maker, and he is Mark Varga. Mark has been making custom knives just for a short amount of time, but he came out of the gate making some really nice looking shit. I mean, nice. Like, I wouldn't have expected his first knives to come out as good as they did. I had hooked up with him, I want to say, just about a year ago when the whole quarantine thing started happening, and I saw a lot of knife makers suffering and not getting sales, and people really freaked out and worried, and people were losing their jobs. So I basically turned my Instagram into advertising for other knife makers that I felt were making really, really great products, that were trustworthy, that were good people, that I wanted to see them succeed and point out their really great products to other people that may be buying. And Mark was one of them. I put it out there and said, you know, I'm going to stop promoting my own knives that I make on my Instagram for a few weeks and just focus on some other really good people. And Mark was one of those. We started talking about his designs. The customs that he made at the time all sold instantly. So thank you so very much to my followers for jumping on and helping out those makers during those times. And we got to talking a little bit, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to take this model here, and I'm going to have a production version made of it through Riyadh. I'm like, well, that's great. Riyadh is fantastic. They're going to do your work justice. They're going to do a fantastic job. He's like, you know what? He goes, I really wanted to be able to do American made. He goes, but the price is astronomical. It is unbelievable how much you have to pay an American company. At that point, you would end up charging almost or sometimes as much or more than you would for the custom. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I can tell you from personal experience and experience of others, you know, most of the U.S. manufacturers, they don't just blow their deadlines, they blow them by months or even over a year. You could have a contract that says all the knives will be completed by March of 2021. You'll be lucky to see them by September or fucking Christmas. And then you're going to get 20% with defects, and they're going to fight you back and forth about how it's not their fault and this and that. And I have seen it all through a lot of knife maker friends, and it's really difficult to deal with. Yet, David Dang at Reate, very easy to deal with, very professional, and they get their stuff done right. If they do somehow make a mistake, they work it out with the maker, the person they're collaborating with, and they make sure it's right before it gets out there in the customer's hands, and that's a big deal. Mark himself did personally inspect every knife that has come in. He's doing his own quality control and inspection. If something's not right that he can adjust, well, then obviously he'll take care of it. But I'm telling you that the balance of this knife, the feel of it in the hand, when I Helen Keller it, which close my eyes, I don't listen, I don't see, I just feel. Everything about this knife feels fantastic in my hands. I've been carrying it since I got it. It carries wonderfully. Great retention on that pocket clip. I also love the look at the pocket clip. It's simple, yet it follows the flow of the design of the overall knife, which is very, very important. Great amount of retention, not too hard to get out of the pocket, however. It feels a little chunky, even though it's not really overly thick. It feels a little chunky, so it fills the hand nicely. It locks in really, really well. There is no jimping on the knife, except for right here on the flipper tab, which I'd love for my camera to focus on. There it is. And that's it. That's all it really needs. The action, of course, is perfect. Just because a blade drops shut on under its own weight, by the way, does not mean it is a high quality knife. That's just my way of being able to demonstrate to you, because you can't touch this and feel how smooth it is. So it's my way of demonstrating to you just how smooth that action is, and it feels great. That flat detent, I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm hitting the wall right there, and then bam, it just rockets out. Really fantastic, amazing flipping action. Now, if you talk about Mr. Varga for a moment, basically he's been in love with knives for over 45 years when his father, actually his grandfather, gave him his first knife. And he started collecting more, I guess you'd call them substantial knives over the recent years by getting into Hinderers. He got an XM18. And he's like, wow, these are really fantastic. He loves knives. He understands and realizes quality. He loves collecting them. And he's like, you know what? I bet I can do this. I bet I can make them myself. Now, he's only made about 40 knives. He has not been doing this for a very long time. But he's got a nice, clean design. I love, again, the fact that it's a bolster lock instead of just a frame lock. He's got a good eye for keeping it simple and not overdoing it. Yes, you guys are used to seeing a lot of crazy shit on my channel, and Mokutai this and Damascus that, and over the top with tritium inserts and crazy stuff. That's not the stuff that I have the greatest interest in. I absolutely love the high-end collector stuff, but this is the stuff that I really carry more often than anything else. Something I'll use. Something with a useful blade shape. Look at the profile of that blade. Then you look at the grinds. That nice, thin hollow. Going to that reinforced tip, the flat ground tip. This is a knife that can pierce, as well as slice, as well as light chopping. Anything that I want to do with it, rock cutting, anything that I want to do with it, it's going to achieve. It's not a heavy knife, but it's not so lightweight that it feels somehow cheap. It's super easy to carry in the pocket, very unobtrusive, you don't really know it's there. Zero hot spots, super comfortable in the hand. It's almost orgasmic the way that this feels. When I hold this in my hand, yeah, maybe I'm sporting a little wood. You don't know, you're not here. You don't know. Just saying. It's semi-erotic. But it really is, I'm kidding, but it really is, every possible area is rounded off just right, just the right amount to make it super comfortable in the hand. Basically, it's just a great EDC knife, and that's what it's all about. And this is coming from someone who, I can't divulge a lot of information, but he's in law enforcement. He has been working with a, as he calls it, a 3-letter agency, does a lot of training programs for them. This is somebody that understands that, sure, a pocket knife may be pocket jewelry, and it may just be a useful tool, but it could be something that, you know, going down the line, you're going to have your list of preferences, the things you're going to want to reach for should you need to enact deadly force. And that's going to be a rifle. Can't get to a rifle, don't have a rifle, you got your pistol. Can't get to your pistol, don't have a pistol, go to your knife. You're going to go down that list, and this is a knife that allows you to do everything. It can be pocket jewelry. It could be just something that you're going to sit there and play with all day and flip and close and flip and close, and it's your little fidget toy. It's going to be the knife that you're going to take out with you fishing. You're going to be cutting fishing line. You're going to gut some fish with it. You're going to cut down cardboard boxes. You're going to cut wire ties. You're going to do utilitarian things. Great. It's certainly going to do that. And also, should this need to be used for any reason as a last-ditch, oh shit, self-defense item, it is certainly going to excel at that as well. It's not huge, but it's got a very useful size blade. It's not heavy, but it's got some substance. It's that perfect balance that we look for in an EDC. Look how many knives, really, how many knives are out there that we could say, generally speaking, to anyone that says, hey, I'm looking for a really great knife, that you could just say, boom, get this, like Chris Reeves Sebenza. Sebenzas are fantastic, and it's a perfect all-around knife. It does everything you want it to do, and it's not crazy. You know, until you start getting into the Damascus versions and some of the uniques that are, you know, $1,000, but it does everything you want it to do for, you know, $425, $450. Great knife. You may look at a Hinderer XM18 for $425. Boom, that thing's going to do pretty much everything somebody wants. This is in that vein of knife where you just think about it when they say, I just need something that's going to do everything. Not just one thing, but everything. I just want to carry one knife. And I want that to be my one knife I'm going to carry every day, and I'm never going to feel like it's going to let me down. Plus, it's not going to be too heavy to wear with shorts in the summer. It's not going to be a burden to have on me, but you know, I'm not sacrificing for weight and size where I've got something that's too minuscule to do anything. I just need that one knife. This is going to be one of those knives in that list in your mind. You're going to think, Hinderer XM18 for $425. Oh, a Sebenza for $425, $450. Oh, a VBR for $325. Listen, oh my God, the price is really what screwed my head up. Because I looked at the knife, both in the micarta version and the carbon fiber. I'm like, dude, you did a great job. It looks fantastic. But I wasn't doing backflips over it because, again, I'm looking at it going, it's a bead blasted titanium flipper with carbon fiber. There's a million of those out there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there are. It's a very common theme. Why? Because it's popular. That's what people want. But it didn't blow me away. I loved the grinds. And I could definitely see myself using that. But it wasn't like, my knee starts twitching. It wasn't like that. And when he said, yeah, I'm going to be selling these for $325, I'm like, are you shitting me? Any other Riyadh made with the same materials, made in a similar fashion, it's going to be around $400 and up. This is $325. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's no reason in the world not to own this knife. Just to give you another example, I mentioned earlier that, you know, this might be jockeying for position for my knife of the year with the knife I just purchased, and it's coming in hopefully in a few days. I had to spend $650 on that knife. So it is double the price of this. Will I even like it as much? I don't know. I hope I will, especially for that kind of money. But that is what makes this so great. This is everything I want for an every single day carry. And it's at the right price. The great thing about Riyadh is, yeah, you're buying a production knife, but it's not like buying a Spyderco or a Benchmade. They didn't make 10,000 of these. There's only going to be a couple hundred of them. They're always going to be limited production. They're always going to be finished to a higher degree of quality. You hardly ever hear anybody complaining with quality issues on a Riyadh. Every other brand you hear a lot because, well, they're making a lot more knives. So while you might be thinking, well, man, I could get a really good Benchmade for $75 or even $100 less. Absolutely, I'm not knocking that. Here you're going to get better steel, most likely, but you're going to get something that's fitted better. It's a nicer overall knife. It's far more limited, far more limited. I'd be surprised if they made more than 300 of these for the world, and that's it. And then that's broken up between a couple of different material choices and finishes. So whatever you choose is even more limited than that overall number. So you do have something a little bit more special. So do you buy the Corvette? Or do you buy the Corvette ZR1? Now imagine if the ZR1 wasn't, $50,000 more than the regular Corvette. It was only like, say, I don't know, another $10,000. Well, it's a no-brainer. For a small amount of money more, you're going to want the one that's going to be seen a little less often. It's going to make yours a little bit more special. That may have been put together with a bit more care. Now, I'm not going to give you I'm not going to say there's a difference in performance that drastic between a common Benchmade and this knife. But what I'm saying is the speciality of it. Oh my God, I thought this was going to be a short video. I looked down and we're creeping up on 20 minutes. Goodness gracious. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up with that. I honestly think if you need something that is going to do absolutely everything, you want that pure joy of feeling this in your hand. You want that flat ceramic detent for that unbelievable flipping action. You want to support a really great guy like Mark Varga, who is a small-time custom knife maker that took a chance to make a really great production bolster lock. This is the knife for you. For $325, I can't stop hammering that. I don't want to sound like a used car salesman here, but it was such a big point for me to go, whoa, that changes things so much. Because even within the same brand, there should be more money. So to hear that, it blew me away. I hope it does the same for you. I hope those of you that picked these up come back and let other people know in the comments that I'm not insane, that this really is that great. And that's why for right now, as of now, I'm calling this my flipper of 2021. I'm that impressed with it. Overall quality, the feel, the action, the grinds, the detent, and then couple that with the price. I don't think I'm going to see anything any better for the rest of the year. Come on back though, because I promise you the next video, that's going to be something special too.